So, we can conclude saying that definitely humans are also embodied whilst navigating online. Human-computer interaction, that is the discipline which has considered all the aspects of the interaction, has proposed models and frameworks that have treated the humans as a simple information processors, so as such able to disembody themselves. At this point, the screen output and the mouse strokes or the button pushing have been the only two-way to communicate through a computer. This has been the biggest limitation, which is proposing now itself in an evident way. At this point, we have started, in the society, we start thinking, let's see how is it possible nowadays to use sound, or how sound, better, how sound is used online in order to describe the characteristic of a product. So let's say how a product sounds. But we start with a sort of assumption. If we have new technologies like broadband, for example, we have new technologies like, for example, nearly excellent speakers on PC, laptops, and so on. Why we shouldn't have sound? So we put ourselves a rhetorical question because I knew for sure that sound was nearly underplayed online. And at this point, we start thinking on some of the questions which we should pose ourselves. And we are thinking on how sound could definitely be exploited and used by internet retailers in order to convey the sound of a product. The first example that comes to mind is the typical example of the CD-ROM, the preview of a CD-ROM. But if we think properly, there are plenty of other examples that give us the possibility to assess the quality of a product through the sound. Like, for example, the crunch of an apple, or for example, the crunch of a bread, the bite of a biscuit. So these are all sounds which we use to assess the quality of a product, that give us the possibility to say, oh yes, I really like the biscuit. Why? Oh, when I bite it, it's marvelous. And I don't know why. So, we start thinking to, first of all, to understand if, actually I'm saying this because there is an impressive literature about sound and product. So let's say the famous Kit Kat. It doesn't come out of, let's say, of the experience of a simple, let's say, inventor. The Kit Kat or plenty of other products are studied, particularly the crunchiness of a biscuit that is on trade usually is studied in the lab to understand how it has to appeal to people. So at this point I was thinking, if we have these things in the physical world, why we shouldn't be able to listen to preview a sound of a product online? At this point, the retailer could use the sound in order to communicate these products. I put myself this rhetorical question, rhetorical in the sense that I was really expecting the particular result, and we started solving 70 UK-based websites, UK-based in the sense that UK businesses. There are also, in the survey, there were also big corporate, multinational corporate. And we starting, and actually this one is the work that my student has done. We started the exploration of the websites in order to understand what sort of sound is used in order to engage the user. It started being evident at the start that the sound was used in two particular ways, and then we see how. And the results were collated in a very simple simple format. I'm not here to present any statistical significance of my study, but I'm here most of all to raise some questions and to raise some, let's say, avenues of thought for further research. So what we found out is that out of 70, only 13 use sound. So it's a bit astonishing, this. And sound used to display product, so that is to communicate some characteristic of the product. So that is, for example, the sound of a mobile phone, the ring of a mobile phone, or how the engine of a car sounds, for example, or how a mixer can sound. Yeah, there is a big difference between one product and another. If you take a mixer from a Kenwood, you will see that the sound quickly communicates you quality, robustness, and so on. If you take the sound of a mixer, for example, unbranded, that has not been researched and refined properly, you will quickly understand that the sound of the engine is not one of the best. Will communicate you some particular attributes. So, as we can see, the sound was discovered to be used also as atmospheric, so sort of background sound in the website in order to engage the user. This one was used only by the Honda and by Perrier. Honda particularly uses sort of a background that is replicated also on the TV, and the Perrier is a sort of background, sort of bubbling background with a continuous popping, reminding of the fizziness of the water. Then there are also multimedia features present in the products, and out of the 70, just as we can see, only these 13, which are some of them Sony, T-Mobile Network, Orange, Blockbuster, Honda, BMW, Ministry of Sound, and so on. No groceries, for example, no textiles, for example. I think we selected these 3 examples, which I would like to show you and to make you listen. They are online, but we don't have the internet connection, so we cannot demonstrate it. There is the Honda, particularly, which present the sound of a 2-liter car. So in practice, they recorded the sound of the revving 2-liter car and put it there online, so you can preview this engine, how it will sound. Okay, it is a car, I don't know precisely the model of the car, it's a very expensive car, and you may say, if I have to buy a £20,000 car, maybe I will go and I will preview it physically. But let's say it's interesting on how Honda started using the sound in order to engage the user. It also uses sound in order to engage with the atmospherics. Perrier, the same, and the Podium is an interesting website which gives multimedia, very detailed multimedia presentation about particular products. For example, a coffee toaster, or, for example, a coffee machine. You will have on bottom the full preview on how the machine works.